and the walls look good, but they look too plain, and I think I'm going to make a frame to add something like to a small detail that is going to give some realism to the scene. And that's something that you should know already if you work 3D, that those small details are the ones that uh, give the scene more realism. And even if you think that some people are not going to notice them, like the bump on the walls, they may not notice the bump uh, consciously, but they will know that that wall looks a little bit more realistic than if it was completely plain. So if you think that you can add something that it's going to give more realism to your scene, you go ahead and do it. Okay, so this is really basic modeling, and I just made I just scaled this cube, made it editable, scaled it, and beveled one of the corners. And let's see how it looks. Okay, that could work. Right now doesn't look too good, but once we apply a texture, it's going to look better. Okay, so I am just uh, positioning this frame, and I just made a copy of it and rotated it because we need another copy to place on the other wall. And that's it. Really simple. You don't have to get uh, too fancy to get all those details, because after all they're just details. But it's good to have them. Don't spend too much time with them. It's better if you spend more time on your principal object for the scene, but still you need to have those details. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the bump. I just made a copy of the material and turned off the bump, and I added a new color, like a dark red color, because I want to have this kind of reddish wood, and I'm going to change the mix mode to multiply, and so I can apply this texture to our frames. I'm going to try to find something that blends the color and the texture better, but I think that the multiply is the best option for in this case. Okay, so I'm just gonna Just gonna apply it to the frames and rename it. That's something that I would like to recommend you as well, that you name all of your objects or your textures, because you sometimes leave a project and you think you're finished with it, but months later or weeks later you just go back to it, and if you don't have everything organized, you're gonna have a hard time uh, remembering, wow, what uh, what is everything in your scene, because it's going to be a mess, and you don't want that. You want to have everything organized, and whenever you come back to it, if you do, um, you're going to know exactly what you have. And that's something that I have said lots of times in this tutorial, but it's really important that you do it. Okay, maybe I'm going to make it like a more orange. And I like it. It looks good, because if we had it like all red, it would take all of the it would drag too much attention to the back side of the scene, and we don't need that attention in the back. We need it in front. Okay, so I just turned on the floor with the texture, and as we can see, I kind of messed up with the textures, because I changed the color for the floor instead of the copy that I made. But we can just um, change that texture back. That's not a problem really. And I kind of like the way the floor looks in that color. And that's something that I like also, that sometimes, most of the times, you learn from your mistakes, and sometimes you made a mistake, and then you realize that it looks even better than what you were trying to do. But in this case, I'm going to uh, keep the other floor that we had before, because this floor drags too much attention, the color drags too much attention, and we prefer to have that attention on the dumbbells. So now let's see how it looks with direct materials. Okay, so again, about that red material for the handlebar protector, um, I decided to not include that on the tutorial, because first of all, it's a really simple material, and we are not going to use that red material, so I decided not to include that on the tutorial. And you can make a simple material and apply it to that segment. Okay, and I'm going to modify a little bit the material, the floor material, the bump, so I can get some different reflections there. Okay, so now we can see the floor with different reflections. Okay, maybe I'm gonna leave it that way. And about that material, here we are again. Let's just make a new V-Ray material and change the color to black or another color you like. I would recommend a dark color, and just apply it to the handlebar protector, and you can try with different settings for this material. It is just a simple material. And let's see how this one looks. Okay, so maybe I'm going to tweak some things around a little bit more, but as I said, you can use any material. I'm just adding some an extra specular layer to see how it looks. No, maybe not. I think I'm just gonna keep it the way it was before. And just changing the specular type to try different effects. And making a preview render to see how it looks. Okay, it doesn't look too bad, but I think I'm going to change the color to something a bit less dark. Okay, I don't really want to spend too much time with this material. I'm just gonna change the color again, and I think I'm gonna be done with this material. And now I'm going to apply this material to the other protector, even that we are not going to see that protector on this scene. It's a good idea to always have everything well organized and everything the way it's supposed to be. So just group those objects and rename that group to environment, so we don't have too many objects there. and I'm trying this new render because I'm just want to have a different angle. So I just made a copy of the camera that we had, and I renamed that camera to camera 2, and I'm just gonna try to find a good angle to shot this second to get this second shot. I'm trying to find a good angle for a good composition. Let's see if this works. This one looks nice. It may work. You just have to let that render to finish so we can see better. And as I said before, I would recommend that you leave these things to the end, like the angles and all that stuff, because if you decide the angles when you're just when you're still in the modeling process, later on you're going to change that, and you're going to spend time doing something that you're going to change at the end. So I would recommend that you leave the angles and the camera positions to the end. And I'm going to apply the metallic material to that object there that didn't have it. And let's see if it has it now. Okay, so yeah, I like the shot for this scene. So I'm just gonna move it a little bit more and close the shot a little bit. I'm trying to not get the end of the wall on the shot, but at the same time getting a good balance on the scene. Okay, so let's make a render to see how it looks, and I think this one is going to work well. And for the third shot, I am going to use a different lens, and I'm going to show you how to get different lenses within your V-Ray physical camera, which you can use to get some cool effects. But for this one, it's just a simple the regular camera lens. Okay, so I like this shot. I'm going to just make a copy of this one, and I'm going to reposition the camera, and here is where I'm changing the focal length. And as you can see, you can get different effects. And the focal length for this shot is 14, and the aperture width, I think I'm gonna change it to maybe 17. And as you can see, you get all that deformations that you may have seen in photographs. Just play around with these settings until you get the shot you're looking for. I'm going to make a preview render to see how this shot looks. So you should always think about the composition for your scene and your shots. That's a good thing to be thinking about when you're positioning your camera. And now, as you can see, with this effect, we get the corners are dark now, and that is because V-Ray is trying to emulate the way that real cameras with real lenses behave. And when you have a lens like that in a camera, with a real camera like a Nikon or another camera, you will get that that effect of these dark areas on the sides, those vignettes. So we can modify that by going to the V-Ray camera tag, the V-Ray physical camera, and we are going to change the vignetting effect to 0, and that will make those dark areas disappear, and it's going to be a clean shot. And that's something you can do. That's something that you cannot do in the real world with real cameras and real lenses. So that's an advantage that V-Ray lets you to have, that you can eliminate those vignettes. And I like the shot. I think it makes for good composition. And I like the way that the walls and the roof making that triangle there, which is interesting for this shot. Makes it a bit more interesting. Okay, so to save our scene, we have to go to the render settings and to the output, and there we can define which sizes we want. We can select one of the predefined sizes, or we can type our own. For this one, I'm going to make a 1200 by 900. You don't need to make it that big. It's up to you. Okay, so now this render has finished, and the render is finished, and so we are going to save it. So we go to File and Save, and we have different options, and the ones that I recommend are the TIFF and also the PSD, because they preserve the layers. if you rendered with different layers. But for this tutorial I'm going to use only JPEG. And also you can change uh, the DPI, but for the tutorial I'm gonna keep it in 72. Okay, so it's gonna be JPEG at 72 dots per inch, and we can choose the quality, and we're gonna keep it to 100. And after that you just press OK and select where you want to save the file and the name, and that's it. And I'm going to show you what I did to this final image. This is the render we got from C4D, and I like it. It looks nice, but it could look a little more professional just by doing some simple things in Photoshop. You don't have to spend a lot of time in here. If you can't, if you want, you can do it, but you don't have to spend too much time to get good results. So this is the final image, and this is the final render. This is the way the render came out from C4D, and this is after Photoshop. And as you can see, there are only 3 things that I did. That's not too much. So I'm gonna show you what I did. First, I made a new adjustment layer for levels, and you get them from this bottom here. You just click it, and you can select which kind of layer adjustment layer you want. You have all of these options. So the one I chose was the levels, and after that I got some curves, and then a black and white. So I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to open it with a double click. So the important thing here is that you do it with this layer, this kind of adjustment layers, because you can do it from the menus, but the difference is that you can still edit these changes or these layers after when you want. So for example, now if I want to open these labels, I just have to click twice here, and I still can edit these labels, as you can see. And the other great thing about these adjustment layers is that you can turn them on and off. And the other thing is that you get a layer mask, so you can select which areas you want to affect and which areas you want to leave. For example, the areas that are black in here are not being affected by this layer. So let's see how it looked. So we just have to grab our brush here and select this mask, and we have to make sure that the white color is in the foreground, so we can begin painting. So this is the way that it was when I created these curves and after I modified them. So what I did was just grab my brush and take the black color and just setting the size like this, not too big and not too small, and setting the hardness to around 25 or something like that. And I just began painting these areas, and as you can see, wherever I paint is not going to be affected by this layer, by this adjustment layer. So this area was too dark, so I wanted to bring the brightness to this area, so I just painted this area here, and it got back to the original color. So I am affecting all of these areas, but I am not affecting this area here. So that it's a good thing that we can select which areas we can affect and which ones we don't want to affect. Okay, so after that I made a curves layer mask, and I mean adjustment layer, and that is just to bring some different colors to this render. I'm going to double click it, and I made just small adjustments to these curves. So I'm going to go to the red channel, and this is the curve that I did. As you can see, I didn't change too much, just enough to get different coloring. And this is the green color, and as well as I did before, not changing too much, just enough. And I did the same thing for the blue color. So as you can see, there are not too drastic changes, just a little bit here and a little bit there, but I like the way it looks. And then I made a black and white adjustment layer, and this is going to turn the black and white, the image to black and white. And one more thing, here, as you can see, the opacity is at 59. So if I turn the opacity to 100, or I decrease it, it is going to affect more or less the image. So I'm just gonna take it back to 60, and this is the black and white adjustment layer, and I just left it like it was for default. But what I did was just painting the mask. So here we can see the mask. This is the mask, and as you can see, it's not all perfect. So we can clean these areas up, but that's basically what I did to this image. And as I said before, it's just like 3 to 5 minutes of work, but they are going to give you your image better look. They will look more professional, and they will stand up more. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next picture. So here we have the other render, and this is the original render, and it looks too yellow. So I also made some changes to make it look better. And for this one I used 4 different adjustment layers. I'm going to show you what I did here. Okay, so the first layer I applied was, as well as on the other image, was levels layer, and I did the same thing, just adjusting the levels, because if you can see, there is well, now I have applied this mask, so you cannot see exactly how it changes, but well, anyways, the changes are there. It's just like in the other picture I showed you before. And then I applied some curves, and later I applied a black and white to make this background less yellow, and finally I applied a brightness and contrast adjustment layer, and that as well, to make this wall a little bit lighter. And one thing I like about this shot, besides the overall composition, is this shadow here. I like the shadow because it shows that it is not only a plane on the background, oh sorry, and it shows that there are some more elements that we cannot see, but we can see their shadows. So I like to have this shadow here. Maybe you don't like it, or some other people won't, but this shadow was not a mistake. I left it there on purpose, because I could have eliminated very easily, but I left it there on purpose. Okay, so that is it for this picture. Okay, here is the other picture, the other render, and it's basically the same thing. I just apply some levels, curves, black and white, and another curves here. And one thing that I did to this shot was cropping it. I cropped it, but to select the area to see what I wanted to keep, I usually just make a new layer, and I select the marquee tool and just select some area, and pressing using the bucket tool, you can just paint that area, and then you can choose where you want to crop your picture. And for this picture, I this is what I made. I wanted to have less blank space here and here also, so I decided to crop that. And also I didn't want to have all this dark space on this side, so I just cropped that out too. And then you can just grab the crop tool and you can crop it. Just press enter and you can crop it. Okay, so this is basically what I did. It's not too difficult. It's as I said at the beginning, it's just simple enhancement tips, but I think we both agree that the second picture is better than the first one. So that's the way you can do it. You can add more professionalism to your pictures in really quick with Photoshop, and you can learn also different techniques to do it. These are some really basic techniques. If you want to get more fancy, you can again get more fancy, but just to make your renders look better really quick, you can do just those simple steps.